In 2021, Stranger Things became the first and so far only chapter to be removed from Dead by Daylight. Then in 2023, almost 2 years to the day from the time that it was removed from the game, Stranger Things was brought back into the fog. The same characters, the same map, were all back to where they had been in Dead by Daylight. We had the Demigorgon, we had Nancy, we had Steve, we had the extra skins that changed them into different characters. But nothing new came in with them. At the same time as this was occurring in Dead by Daylight, Fortnite was actually getting new playable characters and skins for their game from Stranger Things. And this led to a lot of speculation. And that's what I want to talk about here in this video, is I really feel like the anniversary is the perfect time where we may see more Stranger Things in Dead by Daylight. The obvious choice for a new killer coming out of Stranger Things would be Vecna, and the timing for this would seem to work out fairly well as well because of the fact that since the Stranger Things announcement that they were going to be back in Dead by Daylight, and now would give the developers most likely roughly a year to work on this new character, which they have said in the past is about the amount of time that they need when creating a character. You also have to consider that this is most likely not the first time that Dead by Daylight has considered having Vecna in their game. And I am going to show some little things that seem to indicate that he has been planned before, and probably that plan fell through when Stranger Things pulled out of Dead by Daylight the first time. So, with all of that in mind, I think that this anniversary, we may very well see Vecna come in as the new killer. Possibly we'll get 11 or even Eddie in as a survivor, might even get both of them, as well as possibly a new map. Though that's a little bit challenging considering what I want to discuss that I think is already in the game. The iconic house that is shown in Stranger Things Season 4 for Vecna is here. And this house, very iconic, does reminisce toward some classic horror. One of the tropes I think they're really playing on in Stranger Things Season 4 is A Nightmare on Elm Street. For one, they got Robert Englund to be a part of the season. For those who haven't watched the season, I won't ruin anything by saying what his role is in the season. But Robert Englund is most famous for his role as Freddy Krueger. And with that in mind, Vecna in some ways is almost a modern adaptation of Freddy Krueger. He in some ways almost inhabits a dream world, or in this case, the Upside Down, and he is able to hurt people who are in the real world from that dream world. So we have that playing out in Stranger Things, but if we look at a chapter that has occurred in Dead by Daylight and the trailer for that chapter, we will see some similarities between the Vecna house and a location in Dead by Daylight. The house from the Garden of Joy looks very similar to Vecna's house. And we will even see more hints of that when the trailer goes upstairs here, where we will see that there's actually a room that's upside down, possibly paying reference and homage to the Upside Down in Stranger Things. So we've got the light on the wall there in the reddish color that we see in Vecna's realm quite a bit. And we see on the other room there just everything is upside down. So as I said, I really feel like this does have the feeling that when they were originally creating this location, it was intended for a Stranger Things chapter that would have had Vecna as the main killer. We've seen this occur before in Dead by Daylight, where they had the second Resident Evil chapter where we got Wesker, even though we already did have the Resident Evil chapter with Nemesis. So it is not out of the realm of possibility that they would work with a license holder for a second character, and I think that was the original intention when this character was brought into the game. And I think that the map is shown here when we get the Roots of Dread chapter. But there's more evidence that they were going for a Vecna-like chapter because of a Mori that we have for another character. Now, because of copyright, I cannot show video footage of the deaths in Stranger Things that were caused by Vecna. But here is a still image where we see Max about to die by Vecna. I won't ruin what happens in the scene or anything of that nature, but this is sort of the beginning of how Vecna kills somebody. They raise up into the air in sort of this almost crucifix type pose with their feet together and their arms outstretched to the sides. And I will say, when people are killed by Vecna, what ends up happening is that each of their limbs breaks, and it seems like the actual material inside is sucked out of them. Now, that is important to keep in mind because of the Mori that we have in the game for Sadako. As you can see with Sadako's Mori, we have almost exactly what happens with Vecna here. And this one is probably the most closely connected to the death of the cheerleader in Stranger Things, where we really get to see the slow way that her bones break. It seems like that's almost exactly what they show here with Sadako's Mori. And as I said, I really feel like this was, again, they had already sort of created Vecna in the way that they wanted him for the game. They had it all set to go. And then Stranger Things pulled the chapter that they already had in the game because of the fact that they had made their own video game, Stranger Things 3. So all of the plans had to be canceled. But now, with Stranger Things 3 really not having done well as a video game, they have decided to put their content back into games like Dead by Daylight, which was definitely accepted by Dead by Daylight. And my guess is if Dead by Daylight has this new opportunity to work with Stranger Things, they're not going to miss out on the chance to take another bite at the apple when it comes to having Vecna in their game. So that just leaves us with the question of why now? And I think that that's easy enough to answer. For one, we have the fact that this is going to be the anniversary chapter. They always want to do something special for the anniversary because this is the time of year where people have the most eyes on the game itself. And so you really want to draw in as many people as possible and draw in new people to play the game. A title like Stranger Things would definitely increase the fan base, and for some people who liked playing as the Demogorgon, but it wasn't enough to keep them interested in the game, bringing Vecna in could definitely do that. At the same time, this could be extraordinarily beneficial for Stranger Things because currently they're working on season 5 of the show, which is going to be the final season of that main storyline. And I do have my own suspicions about what will go on with this season, and that is going to play a part in the fact that I do not believe Vecna at the end is going to be the main enemy of season 5. With that in mind, this is the perfect opportunity to bring him into a game like Stranger Things, because right now people do see him as the true evil of that franchise. If you wait till after season 5 happens and he doesn't turn out to be that true evil, then the power of him in the game is a little bit watered down. So I think it's the perfect timing. It will generate interest for both the game and the TV show, but at the same time, we don't have to wait for the TV show to maybe make changes that could affect how he's viewed by the audience. Also, when you look at Vecna, he just is pretty much perfect for Dead by Daylight. You already have one arm that is longer than the other, which really works perfectly. It really reminds me of like the Hag in the fact that you have that sort of weapon arm. So that'll be an easy striking instrument for him. As I already covered, we already have a house and a Mori that are very similar to his from the franchise. So they will have to do something about that in some way so that he can fit in Stranger Things and Dead by Daylight without it sort of just being a copy and paste of what's already in the game. The house, there are enough changes that can be made. Definitely making it more upside down would be easy to make a map that would fit well in Dead by Daylight. As far as the Mori, they may even do something as crazy as completely changing Sadako's Mori to something else and then giving Vecna the Mori that is so iconic from the TV show. With that in mind, though, as I said, these are just sort of my thoughts and my speculation about what we are going to hear announced when we get to the anniversary live stream. I am willing to bet they are not going to hint too much at the upcoming killer and such before that anniversary live stream, because this one I really feel is a very big deal to the company. This is going to be big news and could be very important for the future of Dead by Daylight. I'm hopeful that this is the direction they're going to go in, as I think it's really something that will benefit the game, but it also is something that they are going to have to do a very good job on, because so many people already know Stranger Things and how iconic it is. So they have to make this a priority and really focus on it well. And that's where I feel like having it for the anniversary release is going to be the perfect spot. It's the one that they probably have worked on the hardest and have the most focus on for the year, and it'll make the biggest impact for the game for this upcoming year. With that in mind, though, I'm going to go ahead and end this episode here. If you enjoyed my speculation, please go ahead and click that like button. If you've not already, please subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon, so that you're aware when I produce new videos in the future. Thank you, and I hope to see you all in the fog.